Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to DDrnBFM. And we've got a pleasurable experience for you, possibly, unless you don't like history.
That's right. We've got another archived history lesson from you, from one of the many dimensions we cover.
It's a beautiful history lesson, and shortly after that, you'll get to hear some Delta Green.
That's right. Remember, DDB to Delta Green from Dimension 124.
So, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Welcome on, y'all. We're back into another episode of DDrnBFM interspectral radio station. Coming in from whatever galaxy you want, baby.
Now, today, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to tell you the great story of that star conflict. It was Captain Mac.
Good old Captain Mac. You remember those wars. Those wars that told in the history slides that we used to see back when we were little eggs in a cushioned sack.
Out on the outer rims of certain galaxies was Captain Mac, a hero of them days, working for the Empire of the Tamagotchi.
The Tamagotchi Empire survived for millennia in a small region of space known as the Egalitastike.
Now, out there on the outskirts, on the western quadrant of the far outskirts, there was the Ronalds brothers.
Those Ronalds brothers, they were a mean couple. And they owned a small empire of their own. There was about 3.5 planets wide.
Yeah.
Across 2 solar systems.
Now, some see them as outlaws, some see them as freedom fighters, said to be descended from the great Skywalker.
Well, what was known from then on for the next 400 years was to be known as the Mac and Donald's War.
And we're going to tell you today about that Mac and Donald's War.
But it all started off in a small little planet called Kentucky Fried.
Now, there was a colonel on this planet that couldn't hold his shit together, feeding his people rats and saying that he had 12 herbs and spices, but they only narrowed down to 3.
3 herbs and spices, and 2 of them was salt and pepper. Have you know, salt and pepper, goddammit.
That's not a spice.
Not goddamn spices.
That's a seasoning at best.
So anyway, that's an underlying story, but it builds up to something very important. Kentucky Fried Planet could not sustain itself.
So you had Colonel Mac.
He came in and he decided that he would replan the whole situation. Yeah. He would say, we ain't going to sell just chicken. In fact, we're going to base it all around this idea of fries.
Fries,
we're
that's
gonna
right.
Have fries of this, fries of that, fries of everything you want.
Yeah, none of that meat shit, just fries. Fries, easy to sustain planets on fries.
And then everybody went on those cheeseburgers that they started making on there. Cheeseburgers all over the planet. Anyway,
the Ronalds brothers didn't like this. They had the largest space cattle ranch on the planet.
They were selling ribs on the dice.
Ribs, McRibs. But they also had influence from Emperor Tamagotchi, which gave them a special sauce. Special sauce.
A special sauce that Tamagotchi had later, only earlier, he had made exclusively to the Ronalds brothers.
Yeah, way back when the Ronalds brothers were actually law-abiding citizens.
But under the influence and then the idea and stipulated in a contract that they would abide by the laws of Tamagotchi and that they would stick to those laws, and if they did not, then that exclusivity of the special sauce would be moved on to somebody else.
And that's where Mac came in. Mac got his new exclusivity for his fries.
Those Ronald brothers, they fell out of favor. And he got that exclusive sauce, and he put his own little twist on it, actually. It made it even slightly a little better. People from all around the galaxy started moving on to that planet, and as soon as you know it, it spread out. It was on 17 quarters and 18 sixteenths.
That's right. And then, if the story is anything to go by, the Ronald's brother caught up with Colonel Mack, who'll be down in a floating saloon in the Western Quarter.
Turns out he'd been planning on a little journal.
So,
Way to fight against him.
the Ronald's brothers walked in with Colonel Mack sipping his sauce at the bar. And the Ronald's brothers said to him,
I got a proposition for you, boy.
and without hesitation, Colonel Mack went,
And they both died on the spot.
and that was the end. But due to the cunningness and the creativity of the Ronald's brothers, Colonel Mack took on their name and became Colonel McDonald's.
And after that, shortly after that, he ruthlessly overtook Mr. Mack himself and the Ronalds brothers, and he bastardized their names and could join them together.
Mac motherfucking Donalds.
And I mean, obviously, well, as you know, I
As
mean,
we
that's
all
not the
know.
end of the story. There's plenty more to go after that, because obviously we live under His Holiness, the Tamagotchi Emperor, and there's just plenty more stories to come. I just hope you will stay on board and roll on through. I tell you what, holy motherfucking shit, skibbity bip, chinsel chip. as they say.
Enjoy your Big Mac with cheese, because we are.
I love you.
I'm loving it.
I'm loving the Lord and Savior. So goes first.
Oh shit. Yeah, good. Well, we're rolling. Of course we are.
What was the victim's house? What's the victim's name? Theobald Greaves.
Greaves.
Theobald Greaves.
Tybalt Greaves.
No worries. That'll do for the intro.
Oh shit, yeah. So, you guys, give me a summary of where we're at.
Okay, so we're at Theobald Greaves' house. The Hulk is outside talking to the CDC lady, who's the friendly, and I wandered into the house to have a look at the body. And now I'm about to enter the hidden lab area. And I think we're just going to cut back to Hulk, who's about to go into the house.
Yes, so David Hawkins from outside discussing what happened here with Roberta Kane. And
Oh yeah, you were flirting with Roberta Kane, weren't you?
I can't remember why it was. Well, I think that's a bit rich, but I don't remember why. But to distract her for some reason, he sort of led her into the house, and that's where we stopped.
I'm literally where my face is. I'm about to jump into there, but we was going to go with you're walking through the house and shit before you cut back to me.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, because you were just about to enter, and you were just about to have a little look through this little secret hatch, which, according to the brief, there were some footprints for little kind of we call them footprints, but they were kind of body imprints, tiny ones, which were coming in from there. And according to the report on the briefing that you got, behind this hidden door in the furnace is some sort of positive air laboratory, which rung a lot of bells with the alarm bells. Sorry, with the detective who went in there and immediately called the CDC. And they were like, "Oh shit, yeah, let's shut this place down." Yeah, that's where you're at. Oh, Roberta Kane, the CDC DG friendly, is kind of giving you a guided tour. She's being very amicable. Doesn't seem too bothered about the fact that a couple of her pilots in one of her jets just like went down in the middle of nowhere. She's been quite cheeky actually. It's almost like she doesn't care that those people died. What do you want to do? What's next?
So I believe I had asked Roberta to.
Sorry, are we recording?
Yeah.
All right. Hi,
Just
everyone.
I believe I'd asked Roberta Kane to walk me through the entire scene.
Cool.
So if Roberta, if you wouldn't mind, and I kind of
So she continues. Let's pick that up. She spoke about the fact that Greaves's body was here. It was found by Ernesto Torres, a delivery guy, who called the police. Immediately got arrested, and then released without charge. But him and the neighbours got rounded up and then taken to a nearby hospital. Who, just in case they were infected with anything or they picked up anything weird. It's since actually, Roberta has stated, they've since actually been released from that hospital just this morning as well. So they're back and they're available to go home. They've not picked up anything weird. They're clear of any charges from the police and clear of any pathogens.
They're still being held, aren't they?
No, they've been released right now. Just been released back out of hospital. Which probably makes your life a little bit easier if you wanted to talk to them. That's Ernesto Torres and a couple of the neighbours. So she talks to you about the body being found by the police. The PD detective comes in with the local coroner or the medical examiner, and they look at the body first thing in the morning, and over the course of the morning, the body's photographed and is degrading. Very early in the morning, it just starts degrading over time. The detective and the medical examiner are brought in, and immediately the CDC are alerted because this is kind of weird. So the forensic evidence collectors collected swabs of the blood inside, and they bagged what was left of Greaves. They bagged up a foot and a hand because that was all that was left after it had decomposed into a blue kind of gooey pile. And if you remember it, I think she said it smelt of chlorine and honey or something.
It was away from the body, wasn't it? The hand and the foot.
No, they were separated, but the assumption I think is, and you'll see from the photographs when you get to see them, in that the hand and the foot are quite far apart, and they might have been dragged apart a little bit by the birds. They seemed unusually apart, but not they weren't like 20 feet apart from one another. Going into the house a little bit more as she walks you through, David, you start picking up more of these little kind of body prints, these little kind of.
So can I have a good as I walk in through the threshold?
Yeah.
I assume that we're going to be walking straight ahead into the lounge, into 8, let's say on the map, right?
Yeah.
Just before as I come in the front door, but not before I come in that second door, because it looks like there's a kind of little annex there. I want to crouch down and have a good look at these prints.
Mm-hmm.
What exactly do they look like? Are they completely irregular? Is each one unique?
It's not unique every time, but it's not regular in the way that, say, if you got down on all fours and even badly crawled over the ground, you'd leave some sort of pattern, if not a pattern in a handprint or a footprint, or a stride pattern or a gait of some sort. But there's no indication that this is kind of either a gait or like a hand or footprint. But it's a series. You can see occasionally you can see a fingerprint or a toe print. So you can see the swirls. You can see that there's a fingerprint in the trails, but they're not. They're either the wrong size or there's nothing regular. There's nothing regular about them. But it's not like you wouldn't say in your professional opinion that it's lots of small people coming and going. It's definitely in one direction, but it's not.
And
fingers, maybe kind of maybe occasionally you saw the side of a hand, but it's kind of all out of proportion.
Okay, so what I'm interested in now is the distance between the prints on average, that would allow me to gauge the sort of stride length of whatever is making them. Like, is it larger or smaller than my average stride?
It's smaller than that. If you're really kind of hazarding a guess, but it's a lot smaller. It's maybe like a quarter, if not a fifth of your stride.
Okay, yeah, that's what I wanted. Okay, so I'll stand back up and carry on following Roberta into the front room.
Cool. Okay. The front room is largely undisturbed, as it's atypical of properties in this area. It's reasonably well furnished. It's not too lavish, but it's very clean. The furniture in there is nice, good quality, but it's not like hyper luxury or anything.
Okay, so I'll look to Roberta and say,
she looks at you and says, "You might want to spend a bit of time in the house, but trust me, the juicy stuff is further into the house."
So why don't you take me through all the major beats, and then I'll look over the rest of the house at my leisure.
She says that I'll take you through what I think is obvious and immediate, and if you want to get people in to do whatever you guys do in the building, then that's good for us. Whatever I can help with, I can't really help much more than my expertise helps, which is what you'll see around the back in a bit. So she walks you through, and the footprints become a little bit more. I'm going to keep calling them footprints for argument's sake. The footprints become a little bit more well defined because there's a bit more blood on them. It's almost like as the footprints came to exit the house, they shedded a bit of the blood. So and you can then see in the kitchen in area 17, bit more blood. Roberta Kane tells you that this is where the second body was found, and that was of Amanda Griffin, the girlfriend of Tybalt Greaves. Again, her body was taken away, and that's that's awaiting being released.
But there's a marker on the floor or some such, right, to let me know where the corpse was, like an outline.
Correct. There's a rough outline sketched where they could do on floor that didn't have evidence on it, and then there's a marker tag as well.
Can I have a little look round? I want to try and ascertain whether or not there was a struggle here.
Okay. Roll me a forensics. You're used to walking murder scenes. You're maybe not used to walking murder scenes that are so weird. So this is more your... So looking at where a body died is more your old line of work. So roll me a forensics just for shits and giggles. Ooh, get her.
So do I see? I mean, I'm looking out for like blood spatter, things potentially being disturbed, cluing me into the fact that there was a struggle.
You're guessing that there was you're guessing that you're not having much luck in identifying any swift blows, any kind of slices, or any idea as to whether there'd be a height to a blow or a height to something that would cut the victim. Your professional opinion is this is a victim which has fallen, and there's a little bit of a scrabble on the floor, but there's no spray in the immediate area. There's just your experience tells you this is maybe more bleeding out, but you would normally see more blood. You'd have to get the body looked at in more detail, or have a little look at the photographs. I think, in your experience, an autopsy would answer a few questions on whether it's blunt trauma or gunshot or knife or cardiac infraction, or all the sort of things you'd expect to be answered in
Vampire.
In a vampire game, correct? Yeah. Oh yes, but in next to where the body was, there was a steak and a big bunch of garlic. Oh no, sorry, no, that's the wrong page. No, there wasn't. Sorry.
Sirloin or ribeye?
Let me just see if there's anything else that I can tell you about the site. From the brief, you recall that Griffin's this is Amanda Griffin. Griffin's mouth was covered in blood, which had congealed.
Congealed to like a sort of black blue kind of.
And her skin had kind of changed colour quite a bit.
Yeah.
Next to the body, there is a clear toe print. Very small, but it's a clear toe print to you. It's clear to you.
Okay.
This is unusual to you because there's a lot going on the crime scene, and none of it seems very conventional.
Have all of these like inverted commas footprints, or let's just call them tracks? Have these tracks all been like marked for evidence?
Yeah,
they've all got.
It's got little yellow tags on them. Where the evidence officers felt they could tag whatever was on the floor.
Okay, so having looked around, tried my best to see if there's something obvious that had been missed, I'll look to Roberta and say, so you said there was something I needed to see, something where your expertise were more useful. What would that be?
So while you've been like taking a little guided tour through the building, Pat did his own guided tour. Cut to the chase. Didn't maybe because there's so much the scant information you can glean, even if you're an expert from this murder site. Let's call it a murder site because it's odd to say the least. Even Pat has kind of not really come to any great conclusions. You've not come to any greater conclusions than Pat either. It just seems all a little bit weird. Pat makes his way to a door which is marked up as well, which looks like a faux door with the front of it being a fireplace of such, or a fake fireplace. And that's where number 12 is, I think, or number 2. Sorry, just there.
Yep.
So you see Pat over to the right, and he's just about to go in. So Pat, what are you up to?
Well, I'm guessing like having a fireplace in the kitchen was a bit weird. So sort of I had a look due to my cat burglar or layout of buildings deemed, found the faux door, and I can still see these markings, tracks, we're going to call them, on the floor, right?
Yeah.
All right, I'll follow him in then. Let's have a look.
So you wander through, and the tracks somewhat stop, but inside there is. Let's describe it in a bit more detail. This is what the brief referred to as a positive air laboratory. I think Greaves stated that once she'd saw it, it was Detective Stubbs actually rather than Roberta Kane. Stubbs saw it and recognised it as an expensive biohazard lab, complete with air scrubbers and an air conditioner that maintains negative air pressure. And at that point, the Detective Stubbs ordered everyone out. Oh no, sorry, it wasn't Detective Stubbs, was it? It was the coroner Stubbs. Sorry, ordered everyone out and alerted the CDC and the FBI. It's your kind of usual. It's kitted out with you're no expert on this, but it's kitted out with what Hollywood would deem to be state-of-the-art kind of medical containment and analysis kit. Very much in that little photograph I've just revealed there.
Okay.
It's clean. It's completely different decor to the house. The house is quite traditional inside. It's not modest, but it's not a flashy mansion. But inside there is it's almost like in the lab that looks like where all the money's been spent. You recognise this as being the garage, or at least the double garage converted to a very swanky, super clean, super well invested in laboratory. You don't know what all the bits and what the lab equipment is or for. It's outside of your doofer. Yeah.
2 questions. I've seen Outbreak. I want to see if there's like a hanging for hazmat suits, or if there's like a washroom on the way in. What was that? Sorry, Frank.
A monkey in a cage.
Yeah, a monkey in a cage. No, I want to see if there's like a lock room where it opens one door, another one, and you're supposed to be clean before you go in.
Okay, well, assume that is where you enter from. That little photograph might be a good example of looking in towards the door. So you're looking from the laboratory into a washdown room, and then the door is kind of in this area here. So you come in. I'll draw it on there. You come in like through the door like that. You see that little red arrow? Oh no, I'm doing it on the wrong layer. Let's try again. You see that? See that red arrow there?
Yeah.
Yep.
You're kind of coming in there, and then you're walking through a clean room.
Yeah. Into this thing.
And say there's a little wall there, and then this is where the business happens, and this is where the washing happens. There.
Love the water drop.
Let me give you just a little bit of what you see again. So the lab is about approximately 8 meters by 4 meters. Contains, as you said, God knows how many dollars of very interesting high-tech biological equipment.
Okay. Which brings me on to my second question.
Yeah.
What can I steal? Remember, we're in agreement here.
Yeah.
I'm getting paid what I can take.
There's lots of cold storage in the clean room. There's a little area with freezers and cold storage.
Oh no, he's going to nick some sort of samples.
Well, you did ask how did the coronavirus start, and it's got usual kind of kit. A lot of the kit isn't really of a size that you could just put in your pocket and walk out. But given that you have a feeling that this is your site now, then maybe you wouldn't need to do things in a secret manner. You could fence some of these things out in a more obvious way without having to worry too much about the consequences. That's kind of how this is the vibe. This is how it feels.
Okay.
There's in both the rooms there's recessed air conditioning and lighting, like really like no expense spared work into the ceilings. You can tell that's where all the air's getting scrubbed and out. Yeah, most of the work in there is kind of done not on a bench top, but it's done, as you see in the photograph, it's kind of done
through the hands thing.
With gloves through holes with gloves in cabinets with specialty equipment. If you were thinking of selling these on, which is in the back of your mind, then you know that there's millions of pounds worth of equipment here.
Right, it would require a lorry to remove them. There's nothing.
You'd have to find a very specialist market, and it would require lorries. And looking at it, you probably have to take the room apart and have to take these things out.
Yeah.
Are we sure it's not just a mystery game from Crystal Maze?
What about just general lab equipment? You know, beakers, flasks, strange concoctions.
Yeah, there's nothing kind of. There's not too much. There's not too much paraphernalia. There's like a couple of centrifuges, a few packs of like multi-packs of kind of what they called test tubes and those sort of things. Just lots of stock of things, but nothing that is immediately useful. There doesn't appear to. You can spend a bit of time searching through the cabinets if you like. I
was just going to open the cold storage to see what was stored there.
Yeah, most of it is empty. There's some items which are labelled up as being like mediums. Some items which are labelled up as stuff that you might, with words that you might associate with, say, IVF or like growing cells in a petri dish or those sort of things.
Got it. And then last things last, I want to check the waste. There must be a waste basket somewhere.
There's a syringe box. There's a blades box, which are on top of the refrigerated cabinets. There is no other. There's no yellow biological waste bin.
I didn't expect them to keep to the colour code in a secret lab.
There's no green bin for recycling. There's no
general waste and garden waste.
There is a paper disposables bin, and that's about it. Like wet but non-contaminated stuff.
So nowhere that old vials would have been thrown, old labels, anything like that.
No, most of the stuff. Most of anything juicy is in the refrigerated cabinets, and it all looks like bought stuff. So something it's like kit that you would order to supplement an experiment rather than being the experiment itself.
Yeah, gotcha. So we're sort of looking at some sort of growing shit in a box type of thing.
You get that vibe. You don't really know, but it's just it's lots of multiples of things and nothing. There's no kind of solitaire diamond. This is effectively what you're looking for in lab science. And just to remind you, you can hear Roberta and Roberta and David talking. And Roberta's reiterating the fact that when she was called in, they tented the building. Everyone who was exposed got removed and then checked out. And then in the lab, Roberta collected samples from a small silver case, which specifically had biohazard markings on it.
Right.
And a stamp on it which read bounce.
That was right, the flubber thing. Okay, so last thing last, before I expect them to be coming in at any moment, I want to sort of stand casually against the incubator sort of things with the glove holes. Sort of have an eye on that and see what's inside as they're coming in and just be like, how are you doing? One elbow on.
David.
So I assume at this point I'm just kind of, walking, a step behind Roberta as she leads me into the lab.
Hello, Mr. David.
Pat. So I take it all in. I'm looking around. I'm like, okay, this looks like far better than any evidence lab that I ever went to when I was, working for the Fuzz. This blatantly costs a lot of money. Like, what? This is very strange.
Yeah, but none of it's stealable. There's one thing that you do wonder, though, Pat. While you can't get to grips with the science or the real value, you know that it would take something considerable to put this together in secret.
Yeah, so it's like better than any of the drug labs that I've ever seen run by multi-million-pound cartels and shit.
And it's in someone's garage.
Yeah.
In a off a road with a load of houses in you know. So it's all a little bit kind of that that smells to you like it stinks. It's like
there's money somewhere.
This is
someone's
organised.
funding it. Yeah,
exactly. And the house doesn't reflect the money in the lab. The house.
I think
money.
we went through that last time because that's why I ran through not stealing anything. Yeah, so I've had a quick look around. They got stuff and things, you know, far too expensive for this house.
Roberta, what's this lab for?
We felt it was for culturing and growing. We don't know what. We know that there was what he was working on was really just one thing, and it was a load of samples which were of unknown origin. These are the ones that were labelled bounce in there. There were 12 of them. I immediately labelled it up as an unknown biological sample. When we had a quick check of it, just to try and categorise it as being either safe, dangerous, or being a pathogen, or being inert, we knew that it maybe wasn't so much of a danger, airborne, or and that it was reasonably safe, like to be handled in equipment. It did have some unusual characteristics to it. The cells in the material, so it's definitely a biological suspension of some sort, and it had cellular material in it, but it had some kind of human characteristics to it, to the liquid as well. So where we have a solution in some test tubes, we normally wouldn't expect like not human DNA, but we wouldn't expect the cell structure in like a solution to look a little bit like human cell structure in certain areas of the body. This was a little bit weird. So Pat raises his finger, his long, spindly finger.
I saw an episode of South Park once, and they had Nazi fetuses. Now, is that what's gone around killing people?
Ah, damn it! You know when you're a GM and you plan like for 10 weeks for like the reveal to be this big, amazing kind of multi-part kind of crescendo, and then you guys successfully guess it as being vampires, and then you spend about 20, 30 hours then rewriting the scenario.
To Nazi fetuses.
To Nazi fetuses, and boom. Yeah, never mind. I'm wondering if I can give you a little bit more to go on. The samples were an odd bluey white colour, Roberta goes on to say. And they were taken from the cabinet. She points to where you're sitting, or leaning. There were samples as well as various notes and bits and pieces. So there was, as well as those samples, we took away a lot of invoices, notes on what appeared to be kind of workings out for whatever was going on here, and those all went off to be flown to Atlanta as well.
So all the evidence from the scene was put onto that plane that flew out to Atlanta.
Only what we felt was useful for analysis in case of some sort of a global pandemic or a localized epidemic. So everything that we felt was useful from this laboratory.
Do you think it might be there might be some sort of epidemic? I mean, you seem pretty relaxed about the plane going missing.
No, I'm just on Adderall at the moment because I'm so stressed. So I'm just kind of like I'm bouncing around a little bit. You have to excuse me. This is like
got anything like to share.
This is ringing all the alarm bells that I don't want to be ringing, because none of it is really seems to be very straightforward. There's something weird going on, and when we find a secret laboratory, this isn't James Bond. We don't like put a bomb underneath it. We know who we call, because there's always somebody who's dicking around with things that they shouldn't be, and we feel that there's just a lot going on here. Hence, sending the police detectives away. Well, if this truly is something that the CDC can just get to grips with and deal with, then that's fine. We can release the site. But this all smells very bad, and if too much of this gets out, then our friends that we work for might lose control of whatever's happening here.
Is there anything left on site now that is, potentially compromising, or would it be safe for us at this point to allow the police back? Would it be pertinent for us to maybe get rid of some of the stuff in the lab, for instance, so this doesn't draw as much suspicion?
Yeah, we felt you need to probably maybe speak to Lewis Stubbs, the medical examiner, just to see if the bodies are inert. We felt the evidence that we had, we felt that they're at least stable, and the site seems inert. We did initial tests, and there was nothing which was in a cellular sense living or breathing, because there wasn't really much that he was working on. He had lots of equipment and appeared to be really working on maybe one very small project, and in a very clean and very, very dedicated manner, but also in complete secrecy, which is very weird. It doesn't look like a biological weapon. It didn't look like a pathogen of any kind, but there's enough suspicious circumstances going around now. Bearing in mind, I called this into our friends before the flight went down. There's enough going on to suggest that we need to get a bit of background on exactly what's going on here, and it's not just a science. It's not just a science test.
Pat just says, "Excuse me, I need the loo. I'm gonna go," and he walks out the lab.
Cool. Don't have to go far.
David's just going to take a quick tour around the lab. Obviously, you've already explained all that is to be seen.
Can you roll me another forensics, just for shits and giggles? Your forensics is quite high. I don't need the rolls. I'm just interested to see what you get.
I mean, I'm specifically interested in whether it looks like he was experimenting on people.
Specifically experimenting on people. There isn't absolutely nothing to suggest that, other than the fact there are absolutely positively mediums being used which are more associated with not artificial insemination, but IVF and growing embryos. Well, there's no embryoscopes or anything which is keeping the machines that you would know kind of are used to grow embryos, and nothing like that. But the kind of mediums and things that he's got in the fridge are definitely to do with that side of the industry in terms of reproduction and so on, which is odd. I mean, unless what springs to mind is maybe that he might be doing his own kind of IVF, or even worse, he could be doing cloning, maybe, because there's nothing in the laboratory which is life support. There's everything in the laboratory which suggests introducing cells together and then suspending them.
So I'm gonna say, Roberta, you say the samples you found were in a case marked bounce. Was that an acronym, right? Periods between the letters.
Truth is, I don't know.
No, I mean you.
She says. Is
the case still here? Can I see it?
It's gone. It went on the flight.
So can you describe in detail what the case looked like to me?
Yeah, it was a silver sample case. Might have a little image for you, just to kind of.
According to the summary, it didn't have periods in between.
No, it didn't have periods in between. It was just uppercase BOUNCE.
So it's not an acronym then.
No, it looked a bit like this here. Let me just stick that on. You see that?
Yeah.
So it was a small, say, flight case, if you like, a small case inside a very, very well packed inside protective, like a bespoke protective foam, were 12 vacuum sealed packages. One package was open. Roberta says it's likely that this is the one that he was working on potentially, but we don't know. She walks you round to the cabinet with the gloves in, and can you roll me another forensics, please? I'm not wanting you to fail. You've done very well so far.
Yeah.
It's pointed out to you that on the, if I take this photograph here, this glove here, there is a small hole in the right glove that goes through into the cabinet, as if it had been breached. Just a very small hole, kind of 5mm by 5mm. Roberta points to that, and she says, "This is about the only thing, this is the only thing that seems out of order in terms of the equipment. Everything in the place is spick span, top grade, and then there's this very small, hole. There's a thin sheen of blood on the window of the cabinet just above it."
On the outside or the inside?
On the outside.
So whatever's infected him has reacted so quickly that it's caused him to bleed on the cabinet. Is there any blood? Can I peek inside the glove? Can I see any blood inside the glove where the hole is?
You can't see anything. There's no signs of spillage or foul play or sharp materials or anything like that inside the cabinet. It looks clean. Looks brand new. Looks like it's barely been used. You can see the gloves have been used, so the work has been carried out. But there's nothing that you can see.
All right, so I'm going to say, Roberto, if there's...
But you did roll a 96 forensics. Ooh.
Yeah. So Roberto, if there's nothing else that you feel like you can add, if you don't mind, I'll just spend the next hour or so looking things over myself.
She states that if you need to get hold of her, she'll be in a sounds like a pickup line. She'll be in a Holiday Inn just out of Mill Creek. Oh yeah, but she gives you a number, and it's not it's not embarrassing anymore. It's just professional. She's gone into pro mode, and I think her Adderall's running out. So she says, "Look, all I can advise is make use of. I'm going to go get some sleep because there's not been much of that over the last night or so. Give me a call if you need any support or anything. Watch out for the press because they were sniffing around. If they've seen you guys come in, they might want to say hello." She reiterates that Stubbs is a switched on guy and was probably useful to try and get hold of the bodies. That's probably the next step. And just try and make the site seem as scary as possible. That'll probably keep people away. And she kind of bids you farewell. Do you need anything from her before she leaves?
No, I think that's fine. So I want to spend the next sort of probably just about an hour just trying to understand Amanda and Theobald a bit more as people. So looking through their personal effects, not looking at the evidence of the murder, but going to look through, their personal items.
Sure. Okay. I'm going to bounce to Pat, who
Hello.
is for a couple of minutes has been pretending to go to the bathroom and then wandering around the house by the looks of it.
Correct.
Specifically, what have you been looking for or not?
Using my years of experience as cat burglary and breaking into high-end gangsters' manors that have got hidden rooms and safes hidden behind pictures and stuff, I've been looking for the sort of typical information sort of filing cabinet that's been kept behind a wardrobe or something like that. Just thinking, this house doesn't make sense to that, and the amount of money that has been gone into that lab, someone has to be funding it, and there's always a paper trail of that kind of thing floating around.
Okay. You're kind of, so I'm just gonna group this together a little bit. So you're kind of both doing a similar sort of thing. David is trying to get a grip of like who these people are, what they may or may not be, what sort of relationship they might have, just by looking at the human items in the house. Like looking to see if the relationship was real, looking to see if like they did things together.
If someone's diary underneath their pillow, then I'll read that as well.
Sure.
But I think David's going more for the human aspect. I'm going for more the
Paper trail.
Every fucker's lying aspect. So
That's fine. So, okie dokie. That could be fun. Where should we start? Which is the question. You're both kind of scouring the house. The house is, like I said, it's not small. It's well furnished. It's not furnished in a luxury way, but it has expensive appliances and it has expensive things in it. So it smells of money, but it's not trying to be too flashy, if you know what I mean. So it's obvious that there's money coming in, but they've kind of like kept the original floor and not put marble floor down, but they've got like a £300 toaster.
yeah, so it's like it's not theirs. They've been moved in there. They can't fuck with the house itself, but they can put their bits in. They've not done anything to the actual framework of the house. But every now and then you spot like a integrated iPad in the fridge or something like that, something that shouldn't be in this kind of decor.
Yeah, I think that's a good way of summing it up. It's just a little bit of unexpected wealth here and there, and but we're in a very middle class kind of nice house to start with. So it's like there's the occasional like buff here and there. David, talk me through the sort of things that you are kind of looking for or poking around or.
I want to try and just get a sort of a feel for what kind of people they are. what they're involved in, outside of this. So looking, just kind of trying to cast an eye over any sort of personal items or any sort of personal documentation. There may be a letter from a family member, something like that, something that would give me, because I have a bit of understanding of the crime, but no understanding of the people involved in the crime.
Yeah. Okie dokie. But this is taking both of you a little bit of time.
Yeah, so I said that I'd be willing to spend like an hour doing this.
What about? Yeah, are you happy just kind of doing your own thing as well for that sort of time? Pat?
Yeah, I was expecting to be hushed out of it quicker than an hour. That's why I've been lying and doing my own thing. So
there's kind of there's actually a lot to turn over for a house that's only got 2 people in it. They sleep together. On the face, this is for David really. On the face of it, it looks like they've got a absolutely kind of like normal relationship. Now, there are, while there's kind of nothing too flashy, it is obvious that Amanda Griffin does have like handbags worth like 15 grand and shoes worth 15 grand.
Typical woman.
So those they've got like hyper expensive accessories, but clothes and other elements are not flashy. So it's kind of presents being expensive. There is a car parked outside on the street, which you find the paperwork for as being owned solely by Amanda, and it's a very nice, brand new, like new this year, compact Mercedes. So not a massive hunk, not like a Maybach or anything, but super expensive and brand new. So there's like shoes, handbags, cars, but then again, her clothes quite modest. Photographs of a very, very pretty Afro-Caribbean woman, like beautiful, quite a bit younger than the photographs of Tibbet Greaves. After a bit of digging, you find that she was a child of the 90s. Looks like she may have been born, like looking at kind of like old birthday cards and stuff from mum and dad or whatever that she might have as keepsakes in bookshelves. And they were born around 1990, which would make her, I don't know actually, what is it? Well, we're in 2018, aren't we? Which would make her like, what's that, 28?
Yeah.
Yeah. God, I'm old. And you know that Tibbet is, actually, I don't know how old he is. He must be in his 60s. Actually, I've got to look this up. I don't actually know.
Yeah, so he was clearly a sugar daddy, right? This is what I'm thinking.
I'm
for
thinking,
for absolutely sure. And he is probably double her age. I mean, he's in the photographs. He's in like reasonable shape. He's not. He's a very good-looking guy, but he's certainly approaching 60. I think I'd like to get his age actually. Let me just
So
see
in
if
my
I can find it.
wanderings around in the building, I've seen that there are a couple of what look like spare bedrooms.
Yeah, they are just well-kept spare bedrooms. Those are number 5 and number 5. In my haste to create a house, we are going to, for the sake of this game, we are going to say that number 5 at the top is a double bedroom, and that they do sleep together. Oh no, sorry, number 10 is, isn't it? Yeah. So the 2 spare bedrooms, 5 and 5, they've not been slept in. The linen is new. It's like out of the packet new, almost. It's beautifully pristine. There's nothing in the drawers or the cupboards or the wardrobes in there. They're just guest rooms which have no guests. Their bedroom, by contrast, has got all the things you'd expect in a happily married couple's bed. The occasional sex paraphernalia, nothing too kinky, but they are. You see that they are having sex, or did. I mean, there's no chance of it now, or is there? And
Vampires are always doing that.
there's more chance of you having sex with her now. I'm still looking for his age. It's really going to really bug me. Bear with me.
Don't put ideas in his head.
I feel there is not a lot more to be gleaned from this property.
The what Pat is looking into is probably all revealed more so in room 18 that he's in. This is interesting. Have you got any bureaucracy skills?
Bureaucracy. Let's have a look. I don't think so.
It doesn't matter if you don't. Do either of you have any bureaucracy skills or accounting?
I got 10.
Yeah, amazing.
I got
really
10 in both.
Yeah, I've got 10. Do you want a bureaucracy roll?
I do, from both of you, yeah. Thanks.
Ouch.
Oh shit! What do you get? That's nasty. Oh, that's. Oh my! Have you got any accounting? This might be useful. It may or may not be useful. May not be useful in that case.
Brain farts.
The reason I'm asking you to roll those because I want to know if you can decipher what you found, because there's a lot of paperwork in this small study, room number 18, which isn't making a lot of sense to you. Would you like me to talk to you about it?
Well, I think that as of the interest that he's looking for something suspicious, he would at least take some kind of mental note of what's in there, even if it doesn't mean a lot to him.
I think if you wanted to find out more about Griffin and Greaves, you need to carry your investigations like outside of the house. But in terms of their relationship, I think you're nailing that there's a bit of a sugar daddy thing, bit of a kind of a money thing going on, and but they have they seem to have a relationship, so that doesn't seem too weird or too forced. In terms of paperwork, in his study, there was there's a few invoices for a couple of companies. His filing is like exemplary. It's immaculate. It's like the filing of an accountant, which makes your lives easier because you can just like crack through by year, and you can see all these returns, and you can see his incomings and outgoings. You can see who he's been working for. So he's been working for people like above board, people like Merck, who they're a huge bio company. There's nothing weird about them. They're just a massive organisation, and they've been subcontracting work to him. Not recently, but a few years past. He's been doing genetic. Again, you don't really know what, but like the invoices that he's putting in are for like genetic comparison work and genetic consultancy work. Bear in mind, he's a geneticist, remember, so that would make sense. And there's the figures that he was invoicing at the time for companies like Merck were MERCK, are kind of maybe what you'd expect, quite a bit. Go on, sorry.
Yeah, can I, obviously dealing with the higher echelons of the criminal underworld, can I roll a criminology just to see if anything seems out of place to what I would be used to seeing in an organised crime manner?
Yeah.
Let's see how it goes.
I like the idea of that.
Ah, fuck.
No, I just,
Never mind.
Again, like I think when you're doing these roles, there's a lot going on in there. So when you're doing these roles, these are not like a pass fail kind of situation. So, and bear in mind, you both roll very, very well early on. So you're picking up lots of things early. One thing, there's a couple of things that you pick up pat, so that you ask David to come in and look at. One of them is there's some details on the brand of the laboratory cabinets that he's kept. He's got the serial numbers for the laboratory cabinets, maybe for parts and repairs, but you've got like the actual manufacturer's serial numbers. Although there's no indication as to who the manufacturer is there, you could probably go away and find that out maybe. Similarly, in that study filing area, you can see that there's a reasonably openly there was a contract for two local firms who did construction on his house in 2010. Now, bear in mind that you've gone around the house and there's no there's no extensions on the house. There's no loft extensions or basements or. But these invoices for a company called Thompson Specialty Construction was about £80,000 worth of construction, followed by a second company, Monmouth Weather and Fitting, for about 100,000.
So he's 180 grand in for the lab, basically.
Just look from what you can see,
and that's just building work. That's not even.
It just looks like building works. Doesn't look like the heating, ventilation, and air conditioning or air filtration.
Can we see? So it says that it's paid. That these invoices, they're not payment receipts.
They are kind of statements, I suppose. So they are quotes with an invoice attached to them. So you can see who these companies are. You can see like openly. You look on your phone. There are companies that exist. They are trading. There are kind of normal construction firms.
And the documentation has got Greaves' name on it as well. So he was using his real name. He was.
Yeah. So there's a little note. You're studying these a bit closer. There's a little note on the bottom of both of the invoices, with the first one saying that it was paid by checks, and the second one that it was paid by wire deposit. But you don't really pick up anything else.
Okay.
Any bank statements with details of how much money Theobald Greaves actually got in his account, and any way I can steal it?
Probably. I think you need a fair bit of information from him first, anyway.
I'll let you know if I come across his mother's maiden name or his first pet. Or
perfect.
Roll me another criminology, but both of you. Ooh. No, that's all you get. That's all you get, pal. Go fuck yourself. You've got so David thinks that the payment methods are a little bit interesting, given the amounts, particularly like the cashier's check for like £100,000 seems a little bit weird. Wire deposits are not unusual, but
what I was getting at is more of bank statements that proves that he had this much money in one go, rather than bank statements that say that, oh, was it just given to him, then he wired it on, or was it the fact that he had that amount of money in his savings that he could then wire along?
Okay. There's a lot of information there, and you're going to spend another hour poring over it. Okay. Which is it's all time that you don't have. So this
Wait. I think at this point, David thinks it's really important that he goes and speaks to the coroner. So he knows now we've got a lead. We can find out how that lab was paid for by going and speaking to the companies at a later point. But right now, so David goes down to Pat and say, Pat, listen, I think we've got most of what we're going to get from here. If you want to carry on rooting around, you're more than welcome to, but I'm going to head off to go and see the coroner now.
Yeah, it's fine. You're the boss. You're the boss. Yes, boss.
Okay, so we get an Uber, I guess, because we don't have a car, do we? I don't remember us arriving in a car.
Well, I believe there's one parked outside that you've got
a Volvo 940, bro, like in gold brown.
Yeah, we got it from the hire company.
Yeah, that was it. That was it. Yeah. Okay.
Pat,
so let's go and get.
Sorry, Pat. Do you, because there's nothing to stop you from continuing to dig, but while you're in the car, remember. So.
I'll take a handful of bank statements with me, see if I can decipher his actual bank details to steal at a later date.
I think, Pat, you know that to take this forward, the way to get a bit more about Greaves is to probably go through, start digging through IRS records and other like government documents, and start digging that way. Really, I think his filing was very good. You could see that there was money coming in, but.
I was going to say, surely he has like a tax return folder inside his filing cabinet. You said the filing was exquisite, so I'm guessing everything is labelled.
You grab that and you take that with you, so you can start looking at it. I want to take time away from you.
Doesn't
Why?
Pat.
Why would I do that? Why? Who knows?
The homunculi are going to grow again out of the remains, so let's fucking leg it.
So and I think that's fair as well. I think like literally a folder which says literally on the front of it says IRS records 2000. Yeah. And I'll fill you in with a bit. You can glean more information from it. Because you're not because both of you aren't like accountancy literate.
Yeah,
it's like GCSE business studies like approach to the evidence. Even though you're a specialist in your field, accountancy is numbers, names, and to you guys, which is still probably enough for leads and getting a bit of a picture together.
Thank you very much, kind handler, sir.
Okay, so
what we're doing on time was.
So it's 2 p.m. October the 3rd. You come out of the tent. You actually no. What I recommend you do, because I'm being nice to you, is you put your suit back on.
Hey.
You come out. You go through the spray.
Way ahead of you of that.
And you roll me an alertness. Both of you. There's a lot of rolling today.
Good. That's what we need. Some excitement for the viewers.
Alertness, you say? How alert am I feeling?
I'm alert. Oh, you're alert as alert. I'm not as alert.
I thought you rolled one. I thought you rolled one then. David, roll me another alert on top of that.
Jesus Christ! Until you fail.
This is
How alert?
me this is me justifying this other one. Is like a double take. You saw something out the corner of your eye, and then you chose to ignore it. And
Is
then
it a good time to hold in suspense till the next episode?
It's perfect.
So, our adventurers, David spots something out the corner of his eye. Then let's see what happens next time on whatever this is.